Hi everybody, welcome to our video about Voyageurs National Park. A lot of people probably aren't very familiar with Voyageurs National Park. It's in northern Minnesota along the Canadian border. It's primarily a water-based park, which is a little bit unusual for national parks. We unfortunately don't own a boat, so it made it a little more difficult to enjoy the park. We rented a boat for a day, which is pretty pricey. We rented a little boat, and it was still hard to really enjoy the park with a boat we were unfamiliar with and an unfamiliar lake. But we did the best we could, and we have a lot of stuff to show in this video, so I hope everybody enjoys it.
So for this park, we stayed at a private campground called Ash Riviera Resort. The campground was, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes away, 15?
Something like that, yeah.
15 minutes away. But the problem was, we didn't get service there, Verizon service, and that was a big problem because I'm still working. And so we ended up getting to the campground, setting up, and then we just went to the visitor center. And while we were there, I had cell phone service, and so we were walking around. I found this super awesome picnic table that was right on the water. It was like on a little peninsula, and I was like, this is where I'm gonna be working tomorrow morning. And so we just kind of made a plan. We packed up, and then the next morning we brought our Jackery, so my little power box, and I had my computer, and I brought my snacks, and I spent the day working there. And there were, I don't know, maybe a few people that came by, but really not very many, just because it's not a very popular park. And so that was a bit challenging, you know, not having cell service at our campground and having to have a backup plan, but we made it work.
So the next day, we decided to rent a boat. The Ash Riviera Resort had some boats for rent. They are located on the Ash River. That's probably why their name is the Ash Riviera. So we took a boat first thing in the morning. We knew that at the visitor center, Nicole had service so she could work. So we got up early enough so that we could hopefully get to the visitor center about the start of her work day. And we took the boat out into the lake, and she worked all day from the lake in the boat. It was very interesting.
Yeah, surprisingly, I actually had pretty good service from the water. We stopped at the visitor center. You know, I had a meeting from the boat at the boat dock. It was kind of neat because you could actually dock your boat and then go to the visitor center, you know, use the bathroom there. So it was kind of neat. But I don't know, as we wandered around the lake, I would just monitor how many bars I have, and I would say, okay, I only have one bar. Can you take me back to wherever we were? So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, we found a very cool place to stop for lunch, and there was good service right there. So we spent a lot of time in a little harbor for Nicole to have another call and meeting. So that was pretty fun.
We have just arrived to Round Bear Island. It is a day use site in Voyageurs National Park. They have a fire pit and picnic tables. And we have it all to ourselves. And then if you come back here on this boardwalk, you can even go potty. Would you look at that? Round Bear Island. Kyle, shouldn't you be watching while you're driving?
No, you can text and drive. After that, in the afternoon, the lake started to get really rough. We did chase after a lot of eagles. one really cool part about that area in that park is there's just eagles everywhere. We found so many of them and got lots and lots of good footage. But the issue was we were in a boat and there started to be 2 or 3 foot waves, it felt like. So it was really hard to get shots of the eagles. We'll show you a little bit, but none of them were great quality and you'll get seasick trying to watch what we have. So that was a little bit more difficult.
I kept saying, Kyle, please stop the boat. I like to take the videos of the birds and it was just so hard, but it was just cool watching the 2 eagles just right next to each other and they were just talking back and forth, and it was just the coolest thing we'd ever seen. So gosh, if the boat would stop moving.
It doesn't work that way. There are 4 main lakes in Voyageurs National Park, and then there are numerous lakes in the land between those lakes. And one of the popular things to do is to take your boat or rental or whatever, and you voyage across these lakes, and then you hike inland, and you can rent a canoe from the park, and then you can paddle around on these interior lakes, and there'll be next to no one there. So that's pretty awesome. You know, you just be you in the lake. Another thing that a lot of people do is they'll take their boat into the lake, and then there are campsites that are right on the shore. So you park your boat, there's usually a dock or a place where you can beach your boat, and you can take your boat right up, and then you can backpack, backcountry backpacking, overnight, you know, tent camping type of stuff, and you can explore all of these inland areas that aren't really accessible by any other means. So you can have lots of time with nature, solitude, all those things that people are looking for. And then the last option that seems to be pretty popular is people will rent houseboats, and you can also park those at some campsites and check out the areas. But basically, you know, there's lots of houseboat rentals that we saw, so that's another awesome way that you can explore the park.
Some of the houseboats even had a slide on the back. They were pretty neat.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. Yeah, it was pretty cold when we were there. We didn't see anybody using the slide, but on a hot summer day, I'm sure that would be amazing.
Yeah, the houseboats seemed pretty neat. There were signs, you know, all throughout like the land area where you could actually dock your houseboat, and we did see a few houseboats actually go by.
One of the places that was a point of interest was the Ellissworth Rock Garden. It was built by a gentleman who was told by his doctor that he needed to slow down in his career. He was a workaholic, working way too much. He had a summer home before the park was there, and he built this rock garden, and you'll see from the footage that he did not take the advice very well to slow down in his career. The work that he put in is just amazing. It looks like back-breaking work. It definitely was not a slowdown. So we unfortunately didn't get to see it in bloom. It's a rock garden with flowers, but it was still very impressive off-season to see. If you're ever there, I would definitely go check it out.
So during the day of boating, we kept going and going and going, and didn't quite realize maybe how far or how bad things were maybe starting to get, because we started to turn around, and right when we did, the waves were actually quite big. Well, maybe for a normal boat they were maybe fine, but we had just this little tiny fishing boat, and the water was so high, just like we kept hitting every wave, and I was a bit terrified because our boat was so small. Like, nobody knows where we are. There's hardly anybody out at the lake right now. The lake is huge. So I was a bit worried, not to mention, you know, I had my computer with me, and I was like trying not to get everything wet. I kept getting splashed in the face. So that wasn't very fun. Once we got out of like the main, like the large area of the lake, it started to actually calm down a little bit. Like as we got closer to like the mouth of the river. So it ended up getting better, but I don't know if the lake is like that all the time or if we just hit it at this time or what, but it was kind of scary.
So after a few days at the Ash Riviera, we moved to a Boondockers Welcome, who were on Rainy Lake. Rainy Lake is the northern lake in Voyageurs National Park. It shares the actual border with Canada. It's right outside International Falls. So we drove by another border that we were unable to cross. We keep trying to go to Canada, but they won't take us yet. So they were right outside the home. The Boondockers Welcome is on the lake itself. Boondockers Welcome is a pretty nice program. People open up their home, allow you to camp there. This one was free of charge. They were unable to offer us any services, but that was fine. We were prepared for it. So it was a pretty nice place to stay, right on the lake. They had a beautiful home on the lake, and it was very nice of them to let us stay there.
Well, one thing that they did offer is they had, like Kyle said, a view of the lake. They were on the lake. They had a dock that you could walk out to, and they had chairs at the end, and they invited us to sit out there, and we did. And then underneath, so they had a back deck, but then underneath was like kind of the ground level, and they had these super cool like hammock chairs. They were knitted and they spun around and they were super comfy, and they invited us to sit there, and so we did, and it was just kind of nice just to sit on the lake and watch the water, and it was super cool there.
So overall, we didn't really think that we liked Voyageurs that much, but now that we're looking back at our experience there, it was a lot more pleasant than we realized. If you have a boat, it would be a lot better, and even if you had a canoe, it'd be pretty nice to be able to canoe around. So ours is at home, not with us on the road. It would have made for a nicer trip. Could have canoed in, at least to the inland areas, and then there are some more hiking trails there. We mainly like to do hiking, so we were kind of missing that from this park. Very few hikes that are accessible without a boat, so it would have been a lot better, even just to canoe across the lakes. And then I'd have to rent a boat. Rentals are expensive. We paid way too much for our boat rental for the day. It really was not worth it, but we didn't have a lot of choice. So we thought the park was very nice. We would recommend you go if you have the option to. If you like water, if you like boating, especially in the summertime, it's got to be gorgeous there. I would imagine in the fall it'd be awesome for colors. It's all water and woods in the surrounding areas, so that would be pretty nice as well. So overall, we really liked our time there.
Alright guys, that's all that we have for you for this video. We hope you liked it. Thank you for watching the video on Voyageurs. Feel free to check out all of our other videos because I know you will like them as well. And stay tuned for our next one where we head to the Dakotas.